Okay, these are the ingredients for the stuffing, Nana's stuffing. You break up a whole loaf of bread, one of the big ones. Looks like this. That will give you enough for probably the turkey. If you want to make more, you'll need another bag, and then you can put it in a little casserole. You break the bread up in big chunks, not small little teeny ones, or else everything gets mushy. So this is about how big you make it. These are the other ingredients. You're going to need Bell's poultry seasoning. Bell's is the only one that makes it taste the way we're used to. The other poultry seasonings do not work. Salt, pepper. I use Smart Balance for the butter. Apples. But the onions, again, have to be in large chunks or else you don't taste them. And you saute that in the butter in a frying pan until they're translucent. The more onion you use, obviously, the more onioning. Now, I used an onion and a half, and it was a big onion. The onion was like, this is half of the onion. You see how big it is? So I use a lot of onion. And then you also boil a pot of water because you're going to need that as you're making the stuffing when you're putting it all together. All right, these are the apples. You cut them in rather large sizes because if you don't, it turns to mush. And I think the onions are ready. They're translucent. They've been in the butter for a while. And remember, I have a pot of boiling water going because I have to put that in the bread also. Now, there might not be enough butter here, but I'll figure that out once I start adding it to the bread. All right, I'm ready to put the onions into the bread now. I hope this is enough.
I'm sick of pretending it doesn't matter.
Okay.
How long have you been in business? Why do you ask? I want to know that if I write you a check, you'll stick around long enough. I'll learn. Sorry. Carlo.
Okay, let me get this so that you can see it. There you go.
That I need pictures for the divorce of Carlo and his mistress. Skank. Nothing plays like pictures.
All right.
Glass for alimony, I'm not getting shit.
Now,
I need you to catch up.
I'm trying to get it all into the bread here.
I know.
And actually, until I wet it with that hot water, you're not going to be able to soak it all the way through. So I'm going to get the hot water now and saturate it little by little until it mushes the way I like it. And you'll know the consistency because it's kind of the same consistency when we eat it. You'll know it. Just keep adding the water.
So that's it. Follow your husband and take sex pictures?
Until all the bread is moist. And you have that onion all the way through the bread.
I already told you that.
Oh, forgot a very important step, the egg. So after you put the water in and you're working towards getting the consistency you want, you're going to add an egg. Now, I might need 2 in this case, but I'll add 1 egg at a time and see how that goes before I go ahead and add a second egg. And again, you'll see the consistency. It's mushy, but you can see that you have big chunks of bread and big chunks of onion. All right? As soon as I get this consistency the way I want, I'll start adding salt, pepper, and some poultry seasoning. And I do that to taste. Okay, now I'm ready for the salt and pepper and the poultry seasoning. I'm just going to add a little pepper, I love salt, so I'm going to add some salt. But there's some salt in the poultry seasoning too, so you don't want to add too much salt until you start tasting. And then the Bell's poultry seasoning. I've been known to go through a whole box of this, depending on how big the turkey is and how much stuffing I need. So start adding that. Now, when you start tasting it now, it starts tasting exactly like the stuffing. Okay, so add it in. You'll see the color start changing. I'll do a little tasting. Okay, more poultry seasoning. And at this point, I add the apples. Now I cut up 4 apples for this. I just threw in 3. I didn't throw in all 4 yet. But you can see it's really starting to look like Mommy's stuffing. Okay, I'm going to taste it. Needs more poultry seasoning. But you'll know it when you taste it. You'll be able to tell. And you just keep doing this, massaging it until you get to the taste you like. All right, I wound up adding the 4th apple. And I used about 3/4 of the box of the Bell's seasoning. Okay, and this is the size bowl I used. You may be making more. So that was 1 loaf of bread, 1 1/2 very large onions, salt, pepper, Bell's seasoning to taste. The onion is sauteed in butter, and I use the Smart Balance. And I used probably, I'm going to say about a stick of butter, an equivalent of a stick of butter. And 1 loaf of bread this size. Now your turkey may be bigger, or you might want to make extra stuffing, which is always a good thing. You just put it in a casserole dish. I usually put some butter or something on the bottom of the casserole dish so that it doesn't stick and burn to it. And the casserole dish should have a cover, and I put that in with the turkey. It's not as good as the stuffing that's in the turkey, but it's good. And that's it. So let me know if you have any questions.